Dear teachers, welcome to JSN English Learning. We are with Unit 4 of the revised PG-TRB syllabus, and we are discussing Virginia Woolf's famous novel, Mrs. Dalloway, which was published in 1925. And this particular novel is written using the narrative technique, okay, stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness, narrative technique. It's a narrative technique. And the question would be, who was the one who popularized this stream of consciousness narrative technique? This may be a question. What would be your answer? Who is considered to be the pioneer? There are many people. Okay. Virginia Woolf is one of the practitioners, one who also, popularized it. But there is yet another name who popularized this form.
William James.
William James coined the term stream of consciousness. Okay. William James coined the term. Okay. Coined the term stream of consciousness. We put it as SC. Okay. Stream of consciousness. Okay. And this man is what is he basically? He was a psychologist. In a work titled The Principles of Psychology, he coined the term stream of consciousness. But it was used in literature predominantly by one famous writer who also inspired Virginia Woolf in the writing of Mrs. Dalloway. Who was that? It's James Joyce. Do you remember James Joyce, the writer? The author of the famous novel Ulysses and a portrait of an artist as a young man. This man popularized the narrative technique called stream of consciousness narrative technique. And only after reading James Joyce's Ulysses, Virginia Woolf was really inspired, and she embarked on this novel called Mrs. Dalloway. Okay. Now we have one more information. What is the prototype for stream of consciousness narrative technique? This is the second type. What is the prototype? Prototype, now the first type based on which this was created. We call it as prototype, or we call it as the first type. What was the prototype? Or the first model? Okay. The model for stream of consciousness, or the foundation stone for stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness is like a building. For a building, there should be a foundation. So where was the foundation? It was there in another narrative technique called interior monologue. Interior monologue served as the base for, or the foundation for, stream of consciousness narrative technique. Who was the one who actually used stream of interior monologue? Remember the practitioner and the one who popularized this form? It is Dorothy Richardson. It is Dorothy Richardson, the sister of Samuel Richardson, one who pioneered epistolary novel form. இவ்வளவு விஷயம் நம்ம தெரிஞ்சு வச்சுக்கிட்டு தான் எங்க போகணும்? ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஆஃப் கான்சியஸ்னஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணி இருக்கிற இந்த நாவலுக்குள்ள போகணும். சரி, what is stream of consciousness narrative technique? What is it? Any idea? Anybody? What is it called? How do we define stream of consciousness narrative technique? Okay, let me give you the definition so that you will understand. If there is a question based on that, you should be in a position to write. Okay, இப்போ அதை வந்து கொடுத்துட்டு இந்த டெஃபினிஷனை கொடுத்துட்டு they may ask you also questions. So what is stream of consciousness? Stream of consciousness narrative technique aims to depict the continuous flow of a character's thoughts and feelings. See, we have thoughts and feelings coming together, but it doesn't happen in a linear plane. A linear அப்படின்னா அப்படியே continuous ஒரே thought மட்டும் the brain does not think. Instead, our thoughts and feelings are presented in a non-linear manner. It is in fragmentary form. Our thought is not single. As we listen even now, your thought will be broken, and there will be many thoughts which will come and go. That particular thought coming and going is presented as it is. So the narrator is an omniscient narrator. Normally in novels which employ stream of consciousness narrative technique, the point of view, what will be the point of view? The point of view will be third person omniscient narrator. That will be the narrative. Third person omniscient narrative, which means all-knowing narrator. There will be a narrator who has the ability to get into the minds of the characters in the novel, and he will be able to present the thoughts and the feelings of the writer, of the character as it is. And the thought and the feelings are not single, but many. So as the thought and feelings come out, they will be recorded. That is called stream of consciousness narrative technique. Put it in simple words, it is called mind stock. How is it called, teachers? Stream of consciousness technique. It's called mind stock. So mind is allowed to talk freely. So that talk will not be a continuous thought, it will be fragmentary. And the technique use பண்ணி தான் இந்த நாவல் எழுதியிருக்காங்க. அவ்வளவுதான். Now coming to Virginia Woolf. What do we know about Virginia Woolf? When we speak about Virginia Woolf is associated with a school of thought. What is it called? She is associated with a movement called Bloomsbury. You remember Bloomsbury movement? What is Bloomsbury movement? Who was a proponent of Bloomsbury movement? The man who actually was the head was Sir Leslie Stephen, the father of Virginia Woolf. And all the members of this Bloomsbury group, they lived in Bloomsbury, a place in London. Did you get all these informations? So Virginia Woolf was the daughter of a philosopher by name Sir Leslie Stephen, who was having a group of intellectuals coming together in his house, and they were from different disciplines. They were called Bloomsbury group members. All these members were intellectuals from different walks of life. Adala literature people irundanga, people from arts irundanga, from architecture ellame irundanga. And now coming to the family, Virginia Woolf was born into an affluent family, very rich family in London, and she was given sound introduction to literature and art. She was very much interested in literature and art. Adukaprom enna appadina, though she was a Victorian writer, and the late Victorian la irupanga, the Victorian ku aduthathu varradanaala, you will find that she was not happy with the Victorian novels which had neat and linear plot. Linear na அப்படியே ஒரே straight codeல போற மாதிரி இருக்கும், without any break. அந்த மாதிரி இருந்ததுன்னா a novel will be very boring. So she wanted to experiment with storytelling. What is her argument that I have highlighted here? She argued that life is complicated and messy, and literature should reflect accurately to be a more adequate form of expression. என்ன சொல்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, லைஃப் அப்படிங்கிறது ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா இருக்க போறது இல்ல, ரொம்ப கிளியரா இருக்க போறது. It is going to be very very complicated reality and it is going to be very messy அப்படின்னா it is not in order, disorder இருக்கு. அது அப்படியே லிட்ரேச்சர் வந்து ரிஃப்ளெக்ட் பண்ணணும். அதே நேரத்துல என்ன பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்னா, she was looking at World War I and the effects of World War I. So she wanted to depict the effects of World War on the human beings who happened to live after World War I. World War I அப்புறம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா there were a lot of psychological problems that people experienced. And the psychological trauma, we call it as what do we call it as? Post-traumatic stress disorder. So this novel also deals with post-traumatic stress disorder. Trauma அப்படின்னா inner scar, mental scar, mentalல ஒரு தழும்பு, ஒரு உள்ளத்துல இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு தழும்பு. அந்த தழும்புனால how people start behaving very strangely and how the world looks at those people. Those people are branded as lunatics and they are isolated from the society. அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு கேரக்டரையும் இந்த நாவல்ல பாப்பீங்க. Did you get that, teachers? Did you understand that? And then very important is she married a person by name Leonard, and she married the man in the year 1912, and she also founded a famous press. Make a note of this. This may be asked. She founded a press called Hogarth Press. Hogarth Press. She founded Hogarth Press, Hogarth, Hogarth Press, in the year 1912, along with her husband. Okay, most of her works was published by Hogarth Press. Did you get that? Now let's get into the novel. What is a novel?
Dalloway.
Dalloway. Okay. So what served as a source of inspiration for Dalloway? அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, it is James Joyce's Ulysses. James Joyce was an Irish writer and he wrote a work called Ulysses, and this Ulysses is considered to be an exemplary work for stream of consciousness narrative technique. So அந்த நாவலை இவங்க க்ளோஸா ஃபாலோ பண்ணாங்க. From 1980s, it started appearing in a literary journal called Little Review, and it was then compiled and published in the year 1922. And after finding the beauty of the work, which employed non-linear narrative, Virginia Woolf decided to write a non-linear novel using third-person omniscient narrative. Third person omniscient narrator யூஸ் பண்ணி ஒரு நாவல் எழுதலாம்னு முடிவு பண்ணாங்க. And she started writing this novel. This novel originally was given the title The Hours. It was original. What was the original title of Mrs. Dalloway? This can be a question. What was the original title?
The Horse.
The Hours. Okay, the Hours. Okay, why Hours? I didn't get it. In this novel, you will find there is the reference to a big wall clock which is in the city center called Big Ben, and the Big Ben keeps striking every hour. Okay, Big Ben keeps striking every hour, and that striking of the bell brings this main character, Mrs. Dalloway, to reality. She is lost in the world of thoughts. அப்படியே அவங்க நடந்து போயிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. வீட்டுல இருந்து ஒரு ஃப்ளவர் ஷாப்புக்கு போகணும். அந்த ஃப்ளவர் ஷாப்புக்கு இடையில ஒரு கார்டன் இருக்கும். அந்த கார்டனுக்கு இடையில அப்படியே நடந்து போகும் பொழுது அங்க பார்க்கக்கூடிய மக்கள், அங்க வானத்துல பார்க்கக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள், அந்த மாதிரி விஷயத்துல அப்படியே her thoughts keep going out and she files everything. அந்த Virginia Woolf இந்த நாவல் ஏன் ஸ்பெஷல் அப்படின்னா, அவங்க நடந்து போகும்போது ஒரு சைன் போர்டை பார்ப்பாங்க. அந்த சைன் போர்டை பார்த்தோன்னா ஒரு தாட், அந்த தாட் அப்படியே இவங்க ஃபைல் பண்ணி வச்சிருப்பாங்க. அப்புறம் ஒரு ஹார்ன், அந்த ஹார்ன் வந்து எந்த வெஹிக்கிள் வந்து கொடுத்துச்சு, அந்த வெஹிக்கிளை பத்தி ஒரு தாட் பேட்டர்ன் அந்த மைண்ட் போகும். அப்புறம் அதுல இருந்து இந்த சைட்ல போற மனிதன், அந்த சைட்ல போற மனிதன் அப்படின்னு அவங்க பார்த்த கேரக்டர், அந்த மெயின் கேரக்டர் பார்த்த ஒரு சில விஷயங்கள், ஒரு சில கேரக்டர்ஸ், அதை பத்தி அப்படியே ரெக்கார்டிங் இருக்கும். அதனால தான் இதுக்கு இனிஷியலா என்ன டைட்டில் கொடுத்தாங்க அப்படின்னா, it is given the title Arts. And later she changed it to Mrs. Dalloway, but the original name is Clarissa Dalloway. Title of the novel is Mrs. Dalloway. சரி, இந்த ஆர்ட்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிறத வேற யாரும் பயன்படுத்தினாங்களா அப்படின்னா, there was a writer by name Michael Cunningham. This man என்ன பண்ணாரு அப்படின்னா, he retrieved the title Arts and used it for a novel based on Mrs. Dalloway and Woolf's own life. அவங்க அந்த விர்ஜீனியா வுல்ஃபுடைய லைஃபையும் மிஸ்ஸஸ் டாலோவே அப்படிங்கிற ஃபிக்ஷன் ரெண்டையும் கிளப் பண்ணி இவரு ஒரு நாவல் எழுதினாரு. அந்த நாவல் கேம் அவுட் in the year 1998. The summary of this work is available, which will be very close to Mrs. Dalloway's summary. Did you understand that, teachers? And coming to Mrs. Dalloway, why Mrs. Dalloway அப்படின்னு நீங்க கேட்டீங்கன்னா, why did the writer write Dalloway அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, as a response to the First World War. And she was trying to explore the role of memory regarding World War I and aftermath of what did memory do to people after World War I. Hey, memory sometimes is very damaging. It is very, very disturbing. The past always haunts the present and doesn't allow us to get into the future. நம்முடைய கடந்த காலத்தில் நினைவுகள் எல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னா, நம்ம நிகழ்காலத்துல நம்மளை வந்து துன்பப்படுத்தும், நம்மளை எதிர்காலத்திற்கு போக விடாது. அந்த ஒரு விஷயத்தை இவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்னா, அப்படியே காட்டணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக ஒரு நாவல் எழுதியிருக்காங்க. Did you get that, teachers? Did you understand all these information? I have spoken about stream of consciousness. The next important thing in this particular novel is, okay, it's a subjective narrative. It's a subjective narrative. The character in the novel, that is Clarissa Dalloway, she does not present things that come to her in an objective manner. அப்படின்னா detached பண்ணாம என்ன பண்றாங்க, whatever she sees, she is presenting in a subjective mode. Subjective-னா உள்வாங்கி பர்சனலைஸ் பண்ணி அதை பத்தி சொல்லுவாங்க. Right? And there is a beautiful example. என்ன அப்படின்னா, while walking during the park, there is a park and I will speak about the park little later. அந்த பார்க் உள்ளர நடந்து போயிட்டு இருக்கும்போது she'll be looking at the sky, and in the sky there is a strange phenomenon. என்ன அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, there is a flight which is flying and there is a writing on the sky. It's called the sky writing scene in the novel. What is it called, teachers?
Sky writing scene in the novel.
Sky writing. Sky writing na enna, during Virginia Woolf's time, the companies which were selling products, they had a unique way of attracting audience. Enna பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, they will spend a lot of money to send a flight, and the flight will fly in a particular manner to leave, okay, a particular skyline. It's a mysterious letters that are left behind. It's only smoke, but for a man who is affected because of war, it is a military code. Okay. It is a military code. Everyone who is there in that garden, who is seated there, ஒவ்வொருத்தரும் அந்த பர்டிகுலர் புகையை பார்க்குறாங்க. அந்த ஸ்கைல இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த புகையை பார்த்து என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, they interpret it differently. Okay, they interpret it differently. Sherry, what is the setting of the novel? Make a note of it. The setting of the novel is 1923, which is 5 years after the official end of World War I. 1923, ஒரு 5 வருஷம் அந்த வேர்ல்டு வார் 1 முடிஞ்சு 5 வருஷம் கழிச்சு எழுதப்படுவது. So what serves as the backdrop for the novel? Backdrop, நம்ம ஒரு நாடகம் இருக்குன்னா பின்னாடி பேக்ட்ராப் இருக்கணும், பின்னாடி என்ன எல்லாம் போகுது வருது அப்படின்னு. அப்ப இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா, Mrs. Dalloway is set in post-war, post-World War I London. Okay, post-World War I in London. Okay, what is this post-World War? அப்படின்னா, after World War I, and it is situated in London, and it focuses on the trauma of war on the lives of individuals. Trauma, it's a memory problem, mental worries. And who represents trauma of war? There is a character by name Septimus. He is the victim of World War I. Okay, why does he suffer? He was in war and he made a friend during war. There was a character by name Evans. And in the events, he dies a very violent death before the eyes of Septimus. And when Septimus saw Evans dying, a gory death, a very violent death, this man got disturbed mentally. He survived the war, and when he came back as veteran of war, he was not a normal person. Okay? He was not a normal person. He started hallucinating. What do you mean by hallucination, teachers? We call it as hallucination, or we call it as schizophrenia. இது எல்லாமே நமக்கு பாத்தீங்கன்னா psychological terms. What are the two terms? Number one, what are the terms?
Illusion.
It is almost illusion. I'll put both the words here for you to get it. It's called schizophrenia. Okay, schizophrenia is a chronic mental illness that affects a person's thoughts, feeling, and actions. This is the first disease. The second one, I used another term. What was that?
Hallucination.
Hallucination. What do you mean by hallucination? It's a mental problem, okay, where you claim that you have seen things but which does not exist. Okay, எனக்கு கண்ணுக்கு மட்டும் தெரியுது, அந்த பாருங்க அவங்க நின்று என்ன பார்த்து சிரிக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஆனா அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஆள் இருக்க மாட்டாங்க. It's a perception of something that is not real but seems to be real. இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா Septimus suffers from hallucination. He is able to see events. Okay, அந்த ஈவென்ட் செத்து போனார் இல்லையா, இவர் கண்ணுக்கு முன்னாடி உட்கார்ந்துருப்பாரு. You have a very beautiful Tamil movie by Vijay Antony. It's called it's a police movie, police-based movie. Okay, where Vijay Antony plays the role of a cop. He comes to the city and finds his brother to be involved in illegal activity, and he happens to encounter his own brother. And while dying, the brother actually gives him a curse. And the brother tells, there are many such fellows like me. If you can change one fellow from a bad walk of life into a good fellow, I will leave you. But till then, I will be torturing you. And from that day onwards, whenever Vijay Antony wants to sleep, he will not be able to sleep. The image of his brother with bullet in the forehead will be in front of him, disturbing him. And the Mari ஒரு movie வந்தது. It's an example of hallucination. A man who suffers from trauma. Did you understand the teachers? Now we are moving into the context. What is the context? அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப அழகான ஒரு context. Okay, it is set in a single day in the middle of June 1923. Okay, நாவல் 1925ல பப்ளிஷ் ஆச்சு. ஆனா அந்த நாவல் எப்படி செட் ஆயிருக்கு? It is set in mid-June 1923 and it focuses on a single day. What day is it? அப்படின்னு உங்க மைண்ட்ல ஒரு क्वेश्चन வந்திருக்கும். ஏன்னா வீக்ல 7 days இருக்கு சார், எந்த டேன்னு கரெக்டா சொல்லுங்க. It is Wednesday. It focuses on what happens in the life of Mrs. Dalloway on a Wednesday in the middle of June 1923. And this novel is considered to be a modernist novel. ஏன்னா இது modernist இதெல்லாம் வருது, அதனால இது ஒரு modernist novel. And the narrative technique that is used is stream of consciousness narrative technique. And the past பத்தி சொல்லணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக என்ன பண்ணியிருக்காருன்னா, the author is also using flashback narrative technique. And Virginia Woolf, what does she do? She focuses on the interior lives of every character in the novel. ஒவ்வொரு கேரக்டருடைய பர்சனல் லைஃப்ங்கிறத சொல்றதை விட அவருடைய இன்னர் லைஃப், நம்ம வெளியில what we project is the outer life. Outer life is known to everybody, but what happens in the mind is not known to anybody, and she is focusing on that. Did you get that, teachers? Okay. Now we are getting into the characters in Mrs. Dalloway. There are a lot of information that I given, and I'm focusing on very important ones. The other ones you can gather. Who is the protagonist of the novel? Abdina, it is Clarissa Dalloway, but she is mentioned as Mrs. Dalloway because it's a kind of criticism on the English lifestyle, where women were considered to be man's property. ஏன்னா அப்படிதான் இருந்தது. Women did not have their identity. You should know that Virginia Woolf was a feminist. அதனால அவங்க என்ன பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, வேணும்னே அந்த டைட்டில மிஸ்ஸஸ் டாலோவே அப்படின்னு போட்டிருக்காங்க. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? She was not Clarissa. She was the wife of Mr. Dalloway, and she had no identity of her own. Did you understand that, teachers? So was the character a happy character? Abdina, she appears to be happy, but inwardly she is not happy. She is happy that she is the wife of a parliamentarian, but there is no happiness between the man and the lady. She has a daughter, grown-up daughter, and she starts reflecting about her own life, and she is looking for what is the meaning of my life. And what is she actually doing in the novel, Abdina? She is preparing for an evening party. She is supposed to be the hostess of a party. The husband wants her to host a party, and she is getting ready for that. For the party, she wants to buy some flowers. So she is planning to go for a walk towards that floral shop, and she wants to buy. While going and returning, she meets several people, and she starts reflecting, getting into the past, coming to the present, and then getting distracted with many thoughts. All those things are recorded by Virginia Woolf, the third person omniscient narrator. Who is the third person omniscient narrator? Virginia Woolf herself. She is God-like. எல்லா கேரக்டரும் மைண்டுல போய் அவங்க என்ன நினைச்சாங்க, அவங்க நினைக்கிறது எவ்வளோ, நாட் ஒன் பட் மெனி. தட் இஸ் போஸ்ட் மாடர்ன். அதுதான் மாடர்ன். நிறைய இருக்கு, ஒன்றும் இல்லை, ஒன்று விஷயம் நினைக்கல, ஒரே நேரத்தில் நிறைய விஷயம் நினைக்கிறாங்க. அப்போ அது எல்லாத்தையுமே அவங்க ஃபைல் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஷீ இஸ் அ வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கேரக்டர். அண்ட் என்ன பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, இட் ஸ்பீக்ஸ் அபவுட் ஹர் பாஸ்ட் லைஃப் ஆல்சோ. அதை பத்தி நம்ம நரேஷன் வரும்போது we will discuss more. Okay, now what is she அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, she is living an aristocratic life, but okay, she has surrendered her free will for this aristocratic life. She wanted to be a free bird when she was young. Okay, she wanted to explore life fully, but after marrying Mr. Dalloway, she became a housewife. She was a very good housewife, but not happy within, because there was no fulfillment in just doing domestic work. Her all the talents were wasted by being a housewife or being a mother. Beyond which, what am I? அப்படின்னு ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வந்து இந்த கேரக்டர்கிட்ட இருந்தது. Now we move on to the second important character in the novel. Who is the second important character? The novel focuses on two characters. One is Clarissa Dalloway. The other one is her friend, Septimus Warren Smith. This is a full name. Okay, you may call him as a parallel hero or the second hero. Okay, with equal weightage. And this man was a veteran of war. he suffers from shell shock. Okay, he was a veteran of war. அப்படின்னா வாருக்கு போயிட்டு உயிரோடு திரும்பி வந்த ஒரு வெற்றி வீரன். வந்தோன்னா அவன் லைஃப் நல்லா இருந்ததா அப்படின்னா இல்ல. He is suffering because of what he saw in the war. When he was a young man before joining the army, he was a patriotic man. So with the spirit of patriotism, என்ன பண்ணாரு? He joined the war. He had a different idea of what war is. அவர் என்ன நினைச்சானா, war is mandatory for a nation to subdue another nation அப்படின்னு வார ரொம்ப பாசிட்டிவா பார்த்துட்டு சண்டைக்கு போனாரு. And when he was in war front, his positive ideas disappeared. He was disillusioned about the usage of war. And enache, he saw his own friend, okay, events die during war, because of which he was mentally disturbed. Okay, and he often complained that events was talking to him, and he often went to a psychiatrist. Okay, there are two psychiatrists in the novel who treat him, and towards the end you will find there is a psychiatrist who actually made him a tragic man. சரியா? அந்த மேன் அந்த சைக்காட்ரிஸ்ட போய் இவங்க என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, ஈவென்ட்ஸ் இஸ் கமிங் அண்ட் ஹி இஸ் ஆஸ்கிங் மீ டு கம் டு ஹிம் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்லும் பொழுது, டோன்ட் திங்க் அபவுட் ஹிம் அப்படின்னு அவர் சொல்லி பார்ப்பாரு, இருந்தாலும் கேட்க மாட்டாரு. ஃபைனலி there is an English doctor who feels that events, though he was a war veteran, is a burden to his wife. அதனால அந்த ஒய்ஃப் கிட்ட அவரு கூப்பிட்டு பேசும்போது கொஞ்சம் சத்தமா பேசுவாரு, அதை யாரும் கேட்டுருவா. Septimus Warren Smith என்ன சொல்லுவார் அப்படின்னா, he is a burden to you. You are a girl, you are a young woman, you have lot of things to explore in life. Why do you dote on him? Better put him into an asylum and then you can go and live your life freely அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவார். அதை கேட்டோன்னா அவளும் கொஞ்சம் என்ன பண்றா, she is planning to put him into an asylum and he feels completely shattered. In order to avoid going to asylum, he commits suicide by jumping through the window from his house. Right? அதற்கு அடுத்தது the next character, very important character, Peter Walsh. Who is Peter Walsh? அப்படின்னா Clarissa's friend when she was young, and this fellow actually proposed love to Clarissa, but Clarissa did not accept his proposal. And at present, Peter Walsh comes to London to meet Clarissa. He wants to know how Clarissa is. After many years, he comes because he was there in India. That is how the novel says. He was in India and he had married, but he was not happy with his wife. Since he was not happy, he thought that Clarissa must also be in the same boat, traveling in the same boat. So after many years, he comes to meet Clarissa, and Clarissa first gives an impression that she is happy, but later Peter Walsh comes to know that Clarissa is not living a very happy life. Did you understand who is Peter Walsh? Because of the rejection, அவ propose பண்ணி இவ ரிஜெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டதுனால என்ன பண்ணா, he became heartbroken, so he left to India. Okay, and there in India he struggled to hold or to stick on to one job. இந்த கேரக்டரும் திருப்பியும் நாவல்ல வருவாரு. அவர் வரும்பொழுது flashback நிறைய இருக்க போகுது. Now we are moving on to the next character. It is Sally Seton, very important character. This novel was considered to be a controversial novel because Clarissa has a lot of feeling towards women, not towards men, not towards man. Even to her husband, she doesn't have much sexual feeling, but she is sexually attracted towards women. அதை பத்தி சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னா சாலி சீட்டன் சொல்லியே ஆகணும். சாலி சீட்டன் was one of the closest friend of Clarissa Dalloway. When they were young, Sally Seton was a wild young woman. She used to smoke and she used to argue politics with her male friends. But what happened? Sally Seton and Clarissa, they even kissed each other. But now, because of societal pressure, she did not want to be a heterosexual. She wanted to be a lesbian. Okay, and the Mari character, because of societal pressure, she has married and she is now as a housewife. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு character தான் Sally Seaton, and Sally Seaton also appears in the evening party. Peter Walsh also comes to the party. Almost all the characters whom Clarissa Dalloway meets throughout the novel, they reappear in the novel towards the end of the novel. Okay, and then we come to know about the husband of Clarissa. He is called Richard Dalloway. Okay, he is a very nice man, but a dull husband. He is not a very jovial husband, but a very dull man. And because he is all the time busy with business, you find that Clarissa is not able to emotionally connect with him. And she at times regrets that she has made a wrong choice of a life partner. And she feels that she could have better said yes to Peter. They are not sexually intimate, and they hardly speak to each other. ரெண்டு பேரும் பார்த்து பேசிக்கிட்டது ரொம்ப கம்மி. அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம செப்டிமஸ்னு ஒரு கேரக்டர் பண்றோம் இல்லையா? What is the full name of Septimus? Septimus Warren Smith. Septimus Warren Smith உடைய wife is Rizia. He is called Lucretia Smith. She was Italian born, and by profession they were hat makers. And this man, during his military expedition, he happened to meet Rizia, and they fell in love and they married. But later, she is very kind to, Septimus Warren Smith, even when he is still shocked. But, okay, what happened? She regrets being with him when doctor advises him. How long can a lady be with a man who is mentally troubled? Okay, அந்த ஒரு பிரச்சனை இருக்கு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ரொம்ப முக்கியமான ஒரு கேரக்டர், the villain for Septimus Warren Smith is Sir William Bradshaw. Who is this? அப்படின்னா, he is the second psychologist, a man who makes Septimus a tragic hero. And according to Septimus, Sir William Bradshaw is a vampire who sucks away the blood from the victims. அவர்கிட்ட ஒருத்தர் போய் மாட்டினா என்ன பண்ணுவாரு? ரத்தத்தை உறிஞ்சிருவாரு. Okay, he is very harsh with Septimus Warren Smith. He is not very kind. Normally a doctor has to be very kind. And later in the play, when the novel ends, when people report that Septimus has committed suicide, he is without any feelings. He is not disturbed at all. That kind of a doctor is, okay, Sir William Bradshaw, Kalnenja doctor. That reflects the English sentiment. Most of the Englishmen were like that. அதை கமெண்ட் பண்றதுக்காக தான் Virginia Woolf இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கேரக்டர் கிரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. Okay, so now we will break and we will get back.